What's up, everybody? It's your man, Brad Gilmore. Before we start the show today, I want to shout out one of our newest supporters, and that is Audible. Audible.com is home of hundreds of thousands. I'm not even joking. Hundreds of thousands of audiobooks, and they want to offer a special trial for you, the listeners of the Schmoedown Rundown. So it'll be a 30-day free trial. You get to download one audiobook that you get to keep forever. So whether you cancel it before the 30 days are up, or if you want to keep the service, it doesn't matter. You get to keep that audiobook forever. And when you get that audiobook and you sign up with audibletrial.com/schmoedown, that's audibletrial.com/schmoedown, what that'll do is that will help us here at the Schmoedown Rundown. It'll put a little extra dinero in our pockets, but we'll use the money for good and not evil. We'll try to do more things like the Rundown Schmoedown. Maybe we need a rematch between me and Paul Wolf. Maybe me and Aaron Turner need to break that tie. Maybe Frank Janisch needs another opportunity to impress. You can do that, and you can help us out with all kinds of production costs. We got to look out for our man, Chris Clark. So if you go to audibletrial.com/schmoedown right now, you will help us out. And look, I'm not just talking just to talk. I'm a user. Look at this. I am a user of Audible. There's Audible. This is some of the books that I'm reading right now. Here are the last 4 books. All right, I finished Crichton. I'm reading We Don't Need Roads, The Making of Back to the Future. No surprise there. Seinfeldia, How a Show About Nothing Became the Biggest Show on Earth by Jennifer Armstrong. Catch Me If You Can by William Abagnale, which I think is a top 3 Spielberg movie. And I'm reading the book. And then The Disaster Artist by Greg Sestero. So that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm reading right now. That's what you're hearing right now when I'm driving around the beautiful state of Texas. So go to audibletrial.com/schmoedown, audibletrial.com/schmoedown. Sign up for free today. Helps you, helps us, helps the world. Let's do it. Now let's start the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Schmoedown Rundown. Introducing first, Frankie Janisch, and the host of the Schmoedown Rundown, Brad Gilmore.
What's up, Movie Trivia Schmoedown fans? Welcome to the Schmoedown Rundown, the official after show for the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. My name is Brad Gilmore, the man in charge, and I am joined by the stat man himself, Frank Janisch. Frank, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, and right now I am wearing actually a Phantom Menace shirt. Gotta give some love to the prequels, okay?
Hey, you know what? Revenge of the Sith wasn't so bad.
No.
I kind of enjoyed it. I enjoyed Revenge of the Sith. I put that above a couple recent Star Wars movies. Let's talk a couple things
Chris,
here,
you should
though.
Zoom in on this face. Just like, what?
I mean, come on now. Come on now.
Yeah, exactly. Come on now, Brad. Come on.
Speaking of Chris, what's up, my man Chris Clark, the producer extraordinaire?
Oh, that's fantastic. This week was entertaining, to say the least. The Friday's match is a bombshell, so let's rock this sucker, Brad. Let's rock it to the end of time.
I love it, Chris. Hey, want to remind everybody out there, June 2nd, El Portal Theater, the live Schmoedown. You can come out to Los Angeles, California. The percentage chance of me being there has now decreased significantly. Last week, I think it was at 71. Now I'm at like 49. I'm just going to put that out there.
I don't know where you're getting these numbers.
You should, well, in my head, you're the stat man. You're the stat man. But everyone out there, if you are in the LA area or you want to fly in, make sure you go to the El Portal Theater. There are tickets still available for that live event. And Frank, what are they going to see? They're going to see a Star Wars match. They're going to see a big team match. Who is going to be involved?
Triple threat. You got Alex Damon, Scrimshaw, Knapsack. You know, they're doing triple threat Star Wars match. Winner will play Sam Witwer for the title. And then the main event is Team Action and Shirewolf. So it's gonna be a hell of a time out there, June 2nd. I hope we can sell this thing out. I hope the atmosphere can be just as crazy as last time. It was pretty crazy last time, but with a full packed theater on a Saturday night, no worries, the next day or what have you. I would think for most people at least, that atmosphere should be pretty electric. I would like to think.
Electric. Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I like I said, 49%. Something could still change at any given moment. But I think people definitely need to go out there. I mean, this is going to be a bigger event than Avengers Infinity War. I'm telling you what. So you're going to go out there and support the Schmoedown. That way we can have one in Chi-Town. We can have one in Houston, H-Town. We can have one in Pennsylvania someplace. It doesn't matter where, as long as it's there so Chris can go to it.
Pittsburgh, probably.
Pittsburgh, Philly, Shamokin.
Any of that. Yeah.
You should. If we had a live Schmoedown in Pittsburgh with the Wildberries, Josh McCogan,
that would be good. Yeah,
that would be. I mean, I bet his entire family would show up for that one.
I think that's something that should be considered. We should at least put that out there in the atmosphere. Speaking of Avengers Infinity War, I decided to see it a second time, and I said, you know what? I went with my girlfriend the first time. She enjoyed it. Who can I go with now? All my friends have already seen it. I said, hey, you want to go see it again? They're like, once is enough. For some people had already seen it more than once. I said, you know who I should take to Avengers Infinity War? I should call my parents and see if they want to go to see Avengers Infinity War. So Dad was up for it. My dad's 73 years old. He was up for it, though. He was like, let's do it. I want to see Thanos. My mom took a little bit of convincing.
Okay.
But she went, and she said at the end of the film, that was the most silly and stupid film I've ever seen in my entire life. So,
if she's never
so I didn't
seen
win
the
Mom's
previous
over.
films, I would agree. Yeah.
Never seen any of them. But here's the thing. This is the second time in my life I've been able to get my mother to go to a movie against her will. The first time was recently as well, which was Star Wars Last Jedi. Never seen a Star Wars movie. Said it was only for geeks and nerds. Those are her words. And she actually really liked The Last Jedi. She really liked it a lot. So
wow,
you don't know what the folks are different. My dad liked it a lot.
Had
he was a big fan.
Films?
He'd seen some, not all.
Okay.
He'd seen some, not all. So he was a fan. So hey, my point out there is go to the cinema with your folks, with your parental figures.
I'm actually
get some
doing that
time
tomorrow with my mom for Mother's Day. We're seeing the new Melissa McCarthy film.
The one where she goes to the college.
Yeah, I forget what it's called, but
hey, that's pretty well. Good for you, Frank.
Yeah,
good for you. Maybe you could tell your mother on Mother's Day, how you performed in the Rundown Schmoedown.
Oh, she already knows. She already knows. She watched the damn thing.
Your mom had a reaction. What did she say about the Rundown Schmoedown?
Oh, I didn't ask her, but I know she watches us, listens to us all the time, Brad. Just so you know.
Oh, nice.
And she's always.
I love Frank Janisch, Frank's mom. I just want to make that clear. It's called kayfabe, but continue.
It's not always, but she's always saying like, "Who's this? Who's that?" And then one time, it was Chris had was one of the times that he popped on, and Mom was like, "Who's that? Who's that, Chris? I thought it was just you and Brad." I was like, "No, Chris. He's the producer. He's producing. Don't worry about it." I was like, "Okay, because I like you and Brad." I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's still a thing, but it's just Chris. He comes in from time to time, and if you want his opinion, she's like, okay, all right." All right, I guess. So she's,
okay.
Yeah,
well, so she was well versed in the Rundown Schmoedown. She watched.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's getting into the Schmoedown and stuff. She watches the matches or listens to them on the podcast version if she has to. I think because I did subscribe her to the feed because she wanted to be subscribed to the feed. So now since we're on Collider Factory and it's us and the Schmoedown podcast version, audio version, and who knows, maybe she'll by chance listens to Body Slam. That'd be
maybe she does. You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
Shout out to John Roca and Aaron Turner. It's funny, Aaron's over there, making some noise. They're having a great time, and they actually spent a lot of time talking about Booker T this week. Booker had a lot of opinions about Hulk Hogan. Go over there and check out Collider Body Slam. Very interesting stuff. But back to the Rundown Schmoedown. Now, we had the inaugural Rundown Schmoedown. Some jabron won the thing. I still don't know who the hell he is. And but we've made the decision. We have decided we know at least the month that Rundown Schmoedown 2 will occur.
Yeah.
And this is breaking news. And, there's been some discussions about the kind of match it's going to be. I don't know yet. We're not going to make those determinations yet because we don't want to just fly off the handle. But I think Rundown Schmoedown 2 will be taking place around, can I say it? Can I say when it's going to be taking place? Around Spectacular. Yeah. It's going to be around Spectacular. So maybe if you were a fan of the first Rundown Schmoedown, maybe it's Spectacular. Maybe it's at Spectacular.
I don't know. Maybe it's on the card for Spectacular. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, it's totally on the card.
Rundown.
Yeah. It's totally, yeah. Christian's like, No, it's not.
Yeah.
I
Like, this thing's already 7 hours.
I do want to say it. I think we can say where it's not definitive, but I do think, and we still have to agree upon this. I think it will be a specialty match. We'll just say that.
Do you want to throw it? Do you want to? Okay, we'll just leave it at that.
leave it at
There
that.
might be a specialty match
Because Chris brought up something, and then we could tinker with something, but I think it will be a specialty match. That's for sure.
a specialty match of some sort. So if you're a fan of the first Rundown Schmoedown, another one's coming your way. But hey, Frank, we had a lot of big matches this week. We had a team match, and then we had an incredible singles match that went down on Friday. A lot to discuss about it. So why don't we just jump in? Let's just jump in the pool, and let's go with the cold open from the Tuesday match. I think I suggested the Kingsmen versus the Wildberries after the Kingsmen first debuted. I think. I could be wrong. But I was looking forward to this match. But in the cold open, why don't we talk about it? We saw the Kingsmen approach one Brianne Chandler, who won the free-for-all. And there was some interesting dialogue between the two, to say the very least. And apparently across the pond, no has a different meaning than it does here.
Yeah, which is very concerning. Because
for a variety of different reasons.
Yes. Hopefully they get that straightened out, because that's very important. It was an interesting exchange between Brianne and Devin and Jack. It's silly. Like, when you see them walk in the room, they don't have any shot in hell in getting the belt or the title shot. There's no way in hell Brianne would. Yeah. So we know that right away, and we're just there for the theatrics and the comedy, and that was all great and fun. And I think what it does actually is give a little more personality to Kingsman. I mean, we've seen it in that cutscene when they go up to Dewberry and he's getting his bagel bites, and now we got this little cutscene with them. So I like that we're getting a little bit more of them because, let's face it, they're not the greatest at trivia, so sometimes you gotta lean on what got you there, and that's your personality, your theatrics, and that's what I like about Kingsman first and foremost, and then, well, trivia is secondary for the Kingsmen. Yeah, you might say. I love, though, that she said no probably 17 or more times. Yeah. And it was, you mean definitely maybe. That no means maybe. Yeah,
of course, a little bit.
Somehow trying to figure out where the yes was in there, and it just, Brianne was like, no, it means no. It's definitive. But you're smiling.
But definitive means a little something different. You don't ever know. I don't know. That was probably the worst English accent I've ever done in my life. So where do you think this is going? We've seen people come in week after week after week, match after match, trying to get Brianne to give them her number one contendership. Where do you think this leads? Because, because I think that she keeps it.
I think there's a certain set of circumstances in which she keeps it, and I think the same can be said for if she gives it up to somebody. So if she gives the title match to somebody, because we really don't know where Brianne stands. She's doing the Patreon, and she really has no allegiance to anybody. She wouldn't, we've already seen Kalinowski ask for it, wouldn't give it to Kalinowski. So we know there's not really any. It seems like she's not even thinking about giving it to Kalinowski. So there's really no allegiance there. It appears. So I have no idea. I don't know. What can someone give to Brianne Chandler in the Schmoedown? I don't know. So I think as this goes on, maybe she just has a personal favorite that she would like to see compete, maybe, or she's gonna keep it for herself. I do not know, but it kind of seems like she's gonna keep it because we haven't really seen any of the top players in the league come for and ask for that chance, except for Knapsack, which isn't really. He doesn't need to do that because he's got a number one contender match at the live event, so he has a potential shot at the belt coming up. Granted, he probably asked just for like a double insurance, if you will. So it's if once I start seeing some like upper tier players, that's when my curiosity will be piqued.
Yeah, I think, though, you say we don't know where Brienne stands and she has no allegiances, which is all true. And I think, though, I mean, we didn't even know she was going to be in the free-for-all. We thought that she may have been taking a break. There were rumors about retirement, which she kind of cleared up when she was here on the show. But I think that we're going to see Brienne cash in that championship opportunity. And I don't know which title she's going to go for. You know, I mean, there's still some options on the table there. There are 4 different championships in the league. I don't think she's going to jump at Sam Witwer and challenge him for the Star Wars title.
She did joke about it.
But she made the joke about it. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think she takes the title match because why not? I mean, why give it
You mean the
away?
singles? You mean
You
singles?
actually. Yeah. But I'm saying I think she cashes in the championship match for herself.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I say why not? I mean, she won the free for all. Who the hell knows? Maybe she could be the champion of either singles or Inner Geekdom. I don't really know. I think she keeps it for herself though. But I do find it interesting to see these characters keep coming week after week. And who knows? Maybe someone comes in. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Bibiani, or maybe we know he's got a #1 contender shot. But maybe Merle comes in. I mean, you just never know. Maybe she gives up and gives it to Andrew
That's
Guy.
a very interesting thing you just brought up, because Merle's been out of it, and there's no. I mean, sure, you could make an argument that he gets an automatic #1 contender spot, and I don't think anybody would really have a problem with that, a #1 contenders match. However, you still, you need to keep some sort of, I don't know, balance, if you will. I don't know if that's the right word, but he at least needs a couple matches to get to a #1 contender match, then to get a title shot. However, if he comes back in and he goes, "Hey, Brienne, I'd like to take down whoever's got the title belts, whether it's Sam or Clark or whoever else, whenever she decides to cash in the title shot," that could be very interesting. I mean, look. There's no way they could actually pull this off, because let's say Brienne says, "I have somebody who's going to use my title shot," and not reveal who it is. You would kind of you would be like, well, it's got to be Merle, because any other surprise in my eyes, would be a little lackluster. So it would be a fun thing to do. Like, his return would be an actual title shot right away. I mean, that would be interesting. But, we'll see what happens between now and, well, I guess the rest of time. I don't know.
Like I said, we'll see. Merle is an interesting thing. I don't think that's going to happen, if I had to bet on it. But
yeah, but that'd be nice.
Because I disagree with you. I don't think there would be an argument for him to come right back in and get an automatic #1 contender shot. I mean, brother, you got to get in line. Just because, it's just like Jordan. Just when Jordan came back, I mean, with the 4 or 5, not every other team didn't just bow down and say, "Oh, Jordan's back, go to the championships, go to the finals." The Magic had something to say about it. They're like, "Hey, man, you've been playing baseball. We've been out here balling. All right, we earned our opportunity." And I think that Merle wouldn't just automatically get that championship shot or get a #1 contender shot, but if he
that's
were
what I'm
to coerce
saying.
Brienne.
That's what I'm saying.
I know, but you said that there was an argument to be made that if they did give him just right when he came back, then they give him the #1 contender shot or #1 contendership or title shot. People wouldn't complain about it.
He's regarded as the greatest of all time in that he retired after losing the title, so he should get an automatic rematch if he had wanted it. So that's where the argument comes into place.
Yeah. No, and I get it. I'm just saying.
Sure.
You got to earn your line.
Yeah, and I agree with that as well. That's what I mean.
Unless you have a way to skip the line, which is Brienne.
Yes,
Brienne is your way to skip the line. What we're saying, Merle, come back. Please come back.
Yes.
Just one match.
Yes.
That's all we're asking for. Win the title. Just come back. Anyway, let's move right along. Let's get to the match proper. We got to see Ken Knapsack and Mark Ellis at the desk for the match. The Wildberries versus the Kingsmen. Going into this match, Frank, we knew we were going to be in for a little bit of fun, but what were your overall expectations?
Okay, so I didn't think, all the pre-match festivities would be almost as equal in length to the length of the match, because I felt like it was like 20 minutes promos and entrances and 20 minutes of match. It was something we've never ever seen in the Schmoedown, at least in my recollection. At least not to this scale of. Well, I guess I'm jumping ahead here, but what I was expecting is Wildberries to have a decent performance. I don't know if they're going to. I didn't know if they're going to be able to repeat what they did at the live event. Kingsmen,
Right.
I don't know, because it was their first match. It wasn't the greatest. I thought there was still, if they get the categories to go in their way, they can make it really competitive. But I still, deep down inside, I still thought Wildberries could win this.
Yeah, I had my money on the Wildberries because we saw the Kingsmen the first time against World's Finest. It was what it was. They didn't have a great showing, just to be honest. But I did say I want to see them back in the league, and I'm glad that they got this opportunity against the Wildberries, which I think it's safe to say is me and you, Frank's favorite team, just off of energy
Entertainment
alone.
value, yeah, all of the energy, just the hijinks and the I guess the one-liners, the zingers, whatever, the selfless promotion is great. I love it. I'll watch the Wildberries once a week, to be honest.
So what did you think? Let's talk about the beer bong incident.
Yeah. Okay, so beer bong completely was in line with the Wildberries. It's great. I mean, they did it at the live show. Okay, so now they do it here again. Then you want to talk about what Jack did? Jack, does the beer bong as well. So
Yes.
Funny story. I actually recently ran into Jack on a night out, and let me just say, he was enjoying himself. So to see him step up and take on the beer bong was actually not that surprising, given the state I last saw him in. So
Yes.
it was funny too, because I think they were all taken aback by it. Like, here comes this guy, he's gonna do our thing, our gimmick, and I don't know who won the battle of the beer bongs, but it was entertaining nonetheless, and that's what made the entrances, the promos, all that stuff like 20 minutes long, and it seemed to go kind of off the rails very quickly. Whether
This match
Makuga on the mic
was an hour.
Yeah. It was
This match
yeah,
was an
it's not even
hour
a title
long.
match. It's not even like how is this thing an hour? Well, like, they're not. We know they're not gonna go super deep into the match, which ended up being true in this case, right? So for it to be an hour, if you were a fan of the Wildberries and all their antics and everything that comes along with that, and you liked Kingsman, I mean, you got best of both worlds in this match, because it was more entertainment, more theatrics than match, if you ask me. At least that's what it overshadowed in that way.
Yeah, I mean, when you have personalities like Elliot Dewberry and Josh Makuga and the Kingsmen, it's going to be loud. It's going to be rambunctious, which is always one of my favorite SAT words. And I think it's just going to have that phonetic energy that only they can bring. So I enjoyed them from the theatric standpoint. Round number 1 ends 11-10. Wildberries up by 1. Kingsmen hanging in there. The one thing I want to ask you, Frank Janisch, off the rip, if you will, is I believe it was question 4, and it was, which Adam Sandler movie came first, Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore? Answer, of course, was Billy Madison. I've heard the term Happy Gilmore my entire life, by the way. And when they answered it, one of the Kingsmen, I can't remember which one it was.
It was
Devin, yes. Devin revealed Billy. And Josh Makuga immediately challenges this and say that's not the name of the movie. The name of the movie is Billy Madison. Now, this particular incident happened to remind me of the Rundown Schmoedown. In round number 3, the question about Lady Bird, what city would she want to move to, right? What city would she move to in the movie, right? And the answer was New York City. Paul Wolf.
Yeah, I think you got it there.
Paul Wolf answer New York, you challenge and say, no, it's New York City. There was a similar thing here because when the challenge went through, they said no. It was implied that it was Billy Madison because Billy Madison was said in the name of the question. And so they ruled in favor of the Kingsmen. Where do you sit on this challenge and this question?
I agree with the ruling that it's because they had already given the fact that what city. So, or I'm not sorry, not what city. What movie? They gave both titles of the movie. So it's like. However, I guess if you weren't paying attention and your mind wasn't fully there, which is quite possible given the way this match started, if your mind wasn't fully there, you forgot, the titles. And I don't know how you forget Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore. I mean, they're two of the most iconic comedies in the 90s. So, especially Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah.
Up there. So maybe he blanked on the whole name. Maybe he had actually never seen it. I don't know. And he just wrote, all he could remember was Billy. But I don't know how you prove that. However, I still agree with the ruling that all I had to write down was Billy. And, well, damn it. Actually, I'm not really sure because you do have a certain amount of time to write down the answer. I feel like
you're talking yourself out of it. Yeah.
Like, you do have a certain amount of time to write down the answer. And if you don't finish, then, and it's incomplete. To write an incomplete title, even though they've already given you the titles, I don't know. That's tough. I don't know. When I first saw it, I agreed with it. When I first saw it, I agreed. But now I'm here talking to you, and I'm second guessing myself.
I agree with it because it's the title was implied. I mean, there's not a big stink that you can raise about this. It's just one of those things. He said Billy. It's not like the name of the other movie was Billy Gilmore. It's Happy Gilmore or Billy Madison. Those were the multiple choice options. You knew which one. Okay, what do you have to say, Frank?
Well, I mean, let's say what if you did write Billy Gilmore or, the inverse, if you did swap it, I mean, obviously that would be wrong, but it's still like.
Well, is Billy implying Billy Madison? That is an interesting point, yeah. If he says Billy Gilmore, do you say, oh, well, you were implying Billy Madison?
I wrote Billy first and, that's what I meant. So it gets, but although I would like to think they would never awarded that kind of point for that kind of answer, the Billy thing is actually a lot more interesting than I thought it was. Damn it, Brad. But maybe I'm just making it too big of a deal. I think maybe we're just making too big of a deal of it, but
it very well could be. I always find challenges interesting just in general. I love to speak about them just for any given amount of time because there are different possibilities. I mean, if a question is challenged, I'm sure out of the number of people who were consulting about it, one person was like, no, we shouldn't give him the point. He didn't say the full name of the movie. And I think that if they would have ruled that way, I wouldn't have said they were wrong either. Mm-hmm. I'd have been like, well, yeah, that makes sense. We always know you got to write down the full.
Here's what happens now, though. They've now set a precedent. So
yes,
you can't. If this comes up in some other question down the road, you gotta point to the precedent now and say this is how it goes, and you can't waver on it. So
you can't. So we'll see if anything like that comes up again in the future. I just thought it was interesting that they ruled in the favor of the Kingsmen. I think it was the right way to go. But hey, like we just said here, anything can be
also
argued.
Like, part of my brain was like, just give it to them. They're not really gonna, it's not really gonna amount to anything.
They're not gonna win.
But it's horrible to say. It's horrible to say, but like, I'm not gonna lie, it corrupted my mind a little bit. So, all right.
Well, hey, they still did pretty well for themselves in round number one, only being down by 1 point. We go into round number two. The Kingsmen spin Robin Williams, which again is a category I don't think has been spun, if ever, at more than once that I can remember off the top of my head. And I think that's still a category that's ripe for the picking. Although Robin Williams, as we find out, has a vast catalog of films.
He certainly does. Very diverse. A lot of movies in there. So that's, you're not going to get, out of 6 questions, you're not going to get 6 prime Robin Williams movies. You're not going to get all the Mrs. Doubtfires and what have you. Or Good Morning Vietnam. You're not going to get all, necessarily all those films. Good Will Hunting, you're gonna get some of those more obscure ones, and or you just plainly haven't seen his whole filmography. I mean, he's been at the game for a long time. I mean, it's not like you're gonna get 6 questions surrounded by Hook. So.
Yeah, I mean, when you say Ron Williams, you can think of like 40 movies he's
Patch
already
Adams,
been in.
Or,
Yeah, Birdcage,
right.
Aladdin. There's
right,
so
Aladdin
many
would've been
films.
great, yeah, so.
Aladdin and the sequel, by the way, the third in the trilogy, The King of Thieves. He was not in Aladdin: Return of
I haven't seen that
Jafar.
in quite a while.
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know on Blu-ray.
Yeah,
What's
but you
that?
know what? I think it was kind of a gutsy choice to pick it, just because if you think about it that way, so diverse. I mean, he has comedic roles, dramatic roles, everything in between. So there's a lot there.
And there's some of those movies that he did toward the latter portion of his career that were just kind of released out of nowhere. Like he had a movie with Mila Kunis, he had a movie with Joel McHale. They were just like people don't really remember.
Wow,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
You don't even
Yeah,
remember
holy
these
crap.
films.
I think the
Yeah,
Mila Kunis
so,
one
I mean-
remember, but anyways.
Yeah, something like he had a brain aneurysm and was going to die that day or something. And I don't remember.
Okay.
Anyway, a little too in detail for right now. But I thought it was an interesting category for them to pick, and it didn't fare too well from them.
No.
What'd they get? I think 5 points they got in total on that.
Yeah, they got 5.
Yeah. So not a great situation for them to be in. What did you think? Okay, after you saw that go down and you saw they only got 5 points, were you even more sure of your prediction then that, oh, this is a wrap? We've always said round 2 is the make or break round, the wheel round. I think you actually, don't you differ from that though? You don't think that round 2 is the make or break round, do you? You think round 1 is.
I go back and forth on this all the time. I do put a little more. Well, actually, for the teams, I put a lot more stock into that first round because that's 16 points, as opposed to 12 points you can get as a team in the second round. For singles, there's a lot more riding in the second round because there's steals involved, and it's if you go perfect, that's 8 points, same amount of points you can get in the first round. Or even 9 if you get the bonus, right? So it's more, I think, in teams, the first round's a little bit more important. In singles, second round's definitely more important, I think, most of the time. And so when I saw Kingsmen end with 5 points here, yeah, that's no bueno.
Yeah, no bueno at all. But then here's the interesting thing. Wildberries spin, and they get, I believe they land first on 80s movies, and then they decide to spin away from that.
Yeah.
And end up getting disaster films. The rationale there, I just didn't follow.
I think maybe it's part of 80s is so broad because that's what Makuga talks about. I think didn't he mention like there's a lot in there that it could be.
He mentioned it, but I mean, when I think of if there were anybody ever in the Schmoedown who would have a strength in 80s, I think the first 3 people I would think of is Makuga, Ellis, and Knapsack.
Yeah.
Those 3 guys will always go to 80s. And so for him to go away from it, I was very surprised.
But Makuga's very particular regarding comedies and action movies. There's a ton of drama in there. There's a ton of also just other movies he just hasn't seen, even though he might be a fan of that genre, right? So, but also, you have Elliot Dewberry, who's, I think, one of the more underrated players in the league. Although, I mean, he can have his little flunks, but
he's like silly, but he's sneaky good in a way.
He is sneaky good, and he can pop up some of these crazy answers that you wouldn't think he would get. We've seen it in past matches where I was like, whoa, where did that come from? So, like, he knows his stuff, and Makuga, I think he's very particular in his taste, and I don't think he's been shy about that over the course of his career. So, for them to go away from 80s, I didn't think it was a terrible move. Also, you can kind of play a little more looser given your situation, because you just saw what Kingsmen did. They got 5 points. I mean, you can go multiple choice on all your questions and still end up with 6 points and have a 2-point lead. Worst case scenario if you went multiple choice and played it safe. So everything was really at their disposal on that wheel, in my opinion, because didn't really like 80s. all right, let's spin again. Let's see. If we get 80s again, it's not like it's the worst thing in the world, but we could get something better, and we could do a lot better. So might as well take that shot, given the fact that Kingsmen just kind of crept to bed here. So
yeah, and so the round ends 20-15. The Wildberries on top, and you know what? There's not really a lot to talk about in round number 3 because the match ends up with the same score as round 2, 20-15. Wildberries take this thing home and defeat the Kingsmen to really a shock of no one. But I think let's not cover this up here. This is still a good win for the Wildberries, and this is their second win in a row. 2, I think, pretty good wins, beating Real Rejects and now beating the Kingsmen.
Well, let's clarify. It's not like the greatest win. It's a good performance more than it is a good win. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. Okay. It was definitely a good performance by the Wildberries in both of those matches, and I really enjoyed that. I just really enjoy the chemistry that they share. And then when you talk about, Real Rejects and now the Kingsmen both being defeated by the Wildberries, we saw Kingsmen challenge the Real Rejects.
Makes sense.
So I mean, hey, it's like a loser's bracket.
We've talked about it before.
Hey, yeah. So I enjoyed that, didn't you? I mean, I think Kingsmen Real Rejects might be a Cleveland stinker, but I don't doubt that I will laugh and be entertained by it.
Yeah, I think you can definitely have these. I mean, look, the league is growing, so you will eventually, inevitably, I think, just have lower tier teams. It's just gonna happen that way, And right now, you have a handful of teams that are kind of like in the same knowledge area in terms of accuracy and all that. So if you kind of just have them go back and forth around with each other, and maybe you look at Wildberries, whoever they play next, they could win 3 in a row, and you're 3-2. You get another win in there. You're looking at a number 1 contender shot, I think. I mean,
you are. You're
crazy.
Looking at a potential title match here before you know it.
I don't know about. I think they'll get slammed.
Let me live my dream.
I know. Okay. All right. But let's also remember, it's not like these are new players to the Schmoedown. Elliot has been doing it since 2015, right? When he was with ETC and Ricky. He's been in this. He's been answering trivia, been playing trivia with in the Movie Trivia Schmoedown since 2015. Makuga since 2014. These are well-experienced players. They've seen just about everything you can see. Makuga has like 16 matches underneath his belt. Dewberry's got like another 8 or something like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of experience behind both of them. And who knows, they could get on a crazy run, and it would just, of all the craziness that's going on with all the storylines and stuff, wouldn't it just be something else to be like, have the Wildberries come out of nowhere? You weren't even thinking they could make a serious run, and here they come out of nowhere. And that's one of the great things about the Schmoedown. It's super unpredictable, and they have one of the most unpredictable teams in the Wildberries to make a run, a potential run. I mean, I know it's only 2.
That'd be nuts.
It's only 2 wins
that
in a row,
be
and
nuts.
But it's fun to think about, and maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But it's fun to think about, and like Brad said, let's live your dream, Brad. Let's live your dream.
Let me live my best life, Frank Janisch.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Sorry.
Hey, before we talk about the second match from the week that was, I want to take another second to shout out to Audible, audibletrial.com/Schmoedown. If you want to support the Schmoedown Rundown directly, help me, help Frank, help Chris Clark, go to audibletrial.com/Schmoedown. That's audibletrial.com/Schmoedown. You can download a free audiobook. You get to keep that book forever, and you get a 30-day trial of the Audible service. I'm a member. I love Audible. I listen to podcasts. You listen to podcasts. Let's listen to audiobooks, and let's be able to read more than Kanye West.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
An audiobook is really just like a very long podcast, like a 13-hour podcast.
It's like a very long podcast.
Yeah.
Now, I'm one of those guys. I don't know about you, Frank. I'm one of those guys. I like the unabridged version. Read me every comma that's in that MFR. I want to know everything in that book. Don't give me this BS 90-minute version of whatever whatever book you can think of the Odyssey. I don't want a 90-minute version of the Odyssey or of Mice and Men. I want to hear the whole thing. I want to know about Lenny and the Rabbits, man.
Well,
Talk about it.
Yeah. I was just gonna say I use it to listen to Lords of the Sith because that was one that I've wanted to listen to or read, but now this Audible thing, I was like, well, hell, let me go get that bad boy and listen to it. So.
Yeah, man. I actually downloaded. This is a terrible thing for me to have done to myself. I downloaded the novelization of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Spoiler alert, it's no better than the movie. And I don't mind the movie as much as some people do. I actually kind of like Crystal Skull.
Yeah, I rewatched
as
it
a
recently.
book.
It's not really that bad.
It's not. People were tripping. That's what happened. People were tripping. Hey, we're tripping because we need to talk about a match that was incredible, which was this singles match. The Professor, Lon Harris versus big-time Ethan Erwin. Incredible match. But before we do, another cold open with our favorite, Brianne Chandler. And Brianne Chandler was presented with another championship belt from Thad Williams, of all people. And I kind of took it as Thad was trying to suck up to Brianne a little bit. He doesn't like this. If we get to the, 2,500 patrons, then Tom Dagnino will be the commissioner for a week. I don't think that he's feeling that too much, so he's trying to get on Brianne's good side. He presents her with a free-for-all championship, which we did not see the year prior for Sam Levine. So, to me, this was just some machination of Thad Williams to try to win over Miss Brianne Chandler.
Yeah, I think that's what he was trying to do, and I think basically he's grasping at straws here. That is a reference for all you Schmoedown fans. If you're a fan of the Schmoes for a long time, you'll know what that means. Anyways, I think it's to hand over a belt or to have a belt made for the free-for-all. I mean, they did put Sam Levine's initials on it, too. So it seems like it could be the ideal. Seems like it's a belt that's passed on to free-for-all winners. So you have SL for Sam Levine, then you had BC for Brianne Chandler, and then, next year's winner will have their initials on it, I guess.
BG. Yeah. That's my initials, Frank.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything clever, so we'll just go with that. So it's a nice belt. It's a nice belt. And it's funny that he thought that might do the trick. But also, remember, Brad, way back months ago, we had Thad on, and his contract
was supposed to be up a long time ago. Yeah.
Well, we're in the month of May.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, you're right.
Go back and listen to that episode, and we're trying to.
He
do
said
the math,
6 months, right?
So
yeah, and that would be May. May would be 6 months.
So what's going on here? Is this more small print, fine print that we didn't see? That
we know that he was kind of contesting, Christian's mental fitness to be the commissioner a little bit, if you will. And I know we saw him say that Christian's made some questionable calls, so he was going to continue his run.
Let me just say real quick, it's easy to say that when Thad, you've never been at the table had to make a decision on the spot. So let's not, get all high and mighty and say, Christian's has made some tough calls. Yes, but Thad, when have you had to make a tough call at the desk? I don't think ever. So let me just. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Whoa,
sorry.
Frank, man. Whoa, tell me how you really feel. Wow. So we'll see. And then, we saw the scene, of course, end with, Thad kind of like, hey, that whole, patron thing, and Brianne's like, yeah, that's still that's still happening. Bye.
Yeah,
just
real
takes
quick.
off. Yeah, she wasn't going to entertain that at all. But let's get into the match that is. Let's talk about Ethan Erwin versus Lon Harris. Lon Harris, I got to see him perform live and in living color when he had that match against Cody Hall, a.k.a. Spider-Man, way back when, in January, I believe, or February, whatever that was.
February.
And it was February. And, wow, what a match that was. I mean, Lon Harris had a lot of knowledge, but Cody Hall took him a sudden death. But we've seen Lon Harris perform well in the free-for-all. He's been after Cobster here for a little bit. Cobster's kind of running away. He didn't want it. And then Thad said, hey, you know what? How about Ethan Erwin? How about we give you a real challenge here? And, boy, a challenge was it. Then he talked about Ethan Erwin. a guy who did okay in the free for all. We definitely saw that
he did more than.
I mean, come on,
he did more than.
He did okay. He did okay.
Bradley, okay, come on.
He did okay.
Bradley, come
he did
on.
Okay.
I
like Lon Harris. All right, let me like Lon.
You can like Lon, but also give Ethan his credit. That's fine.
He did okay. He did okay. You're very annoyed right now. I can tell. You're very hostile.
When I have the facts in front of me.
What are the facts? Read me the facts.
Well, I don't have it exactly in front of me, but
well, then shut the hell up. Anyway, Ethan Erwin had an impressive debut.
It's right here. If I just stall for a little bit and pull up the actual document, I will tell you that Ethan Erwin, yes, well, Ethan Erwin, he answered 57 of 74 questions asked to him. That's 76% correct through the 15 rounds he was in. So
he did okay. He did. He gets that good. He gets a participation trophy. He was good.
Save me from this man.
He was good.
Oh my god.
But anyway,
all right. Yeah.
But I know I'm just teasing him. Ethan Erwin, of course, did phenomenal in the free for all, and so did Lon. That's why I think so many people were excited for this match because of the performance that they put in, both of them. Like I said, there's something about Lon that I just really like. I like his character. I like his shtick. He's very knowledgeable about it. I mean, even in that Cody Hall match, my girlfriend Farrah tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "I like him." Yeah. And it's just something about him that I enjoy. I just like. It's kind of an old school wrestling character. Reminds me of Lenny Poffo or Dean Douglas, just someone who's holier than thou, knows more than you. Mm-hmm. That's why I kind of gravitate toward him. But this is a matchup. This is a Clash of Titans, right?
Yeah, this one. I was very, very interested in seeing because we've seen Ethan in a singles match performed very well. Again, in the free-for-all, very well. Lon was outstanding. He went 11 rounds in the free-for-all. He's had very good first two singles matches. He actually entered this match at 2-0, and he had the 7th best 2-0 start in league history. So he was doing some really great things coming into this match, aside from free-for-all. And free-for-all only propped him up even more. Same thing with Ethan Erwin. These guys coming out of the free-for-all were just at a super high level coming into this. It's not like, when we had, what was it, last year we had John Humphrey and Mark Andreyko come in and do battle. Yeah. John Humphrey, he went like 10 rounds or 11 rounds. And Andreyko, he was good, but he only lasted I think 4 or 5 rounds, even though his accuracy was really high, and he had the match against Bibiani. He had the moment. And that was a bit of a stinker. This one was the complete opposite, and it was phenomenal.
Is this match in the running for singles match of the year? Is it at least a candidate?
Absolutely. I don't. It might be the number one right now, actually.
Really?
I think
so. You think? I'm trying to think of another singles match that really stood out to me. There's been a lot of great.
JT Roca is another fun one. That was at the live event.
JT Roca was fun.
Roca Snyder even. That's a hell of a match. But
Roca Snyder was a great match.
Yeah. You could say.
Yeah. You know what? This one might be number one. At least right now.
Mm-hmm. Just because I'll get into all the records this thing set and broke and all that when we wind down here, because there's a lot to get into regarding where this match stands in the history of Schmoedown performances. So it'll be a lot of fun to cover that, but we'll get to that once we cover the match.
Well, okay, let's talk about round number one. Round number one ends with Lon Harris on top of Ethan Erwin. Didn't mean for that to come out like that, but Harris 9, Erwin 7. Frank, what was your analysis of round number one?
As this round was going on, question 3, question 4, question 5, question 6, I thought Ethan Erwin was going to get it. Clockwork Orange, it was only Lon Harris got it. So that was interesting. I thought, wow, this was a very, very interesting round. It's Lon Harris, he goes perfect, and the bonus. And you're up against Ethan Erwin. You need every single point, and so far Lon was doing what he needed to do, but Ethan Erwin would still not be denied.
Yeah, no, Ethan was in there, but Lon, I thought he really came out swinging with that perfect round one.
Yeah.
That to me was just setting the stage for if Lon was going to take down Ethan Erwin, this is the way to do it. Start off hot, get that perfect round, and then try to get him in a bad position, or at least come out on top in round number 2. And you know what? Lon Harris did that. I mean, I don't know. Do you have anything else about round number 1 before I get to round number 2? Because this is where I have a lot to talk about.
Well, round 1, when you go perfect with the bonus, you think that player is going to win because they just went perfect with the bonus. I'll get into just how many people have lost going perfect with the bonus and lost with the perfect round at the end here. But when you see that, you're like, oh boy, this could really be his match to take. But then again, we don't have very many Ethan Erwins in this league, and it just so happens that Lon Harris is going up against someone who's making a name for himself quite quickly. And I didn't think Lon had this locked up, but I was like, he's got 2 points over Ethan Erwin is a huge lead to have, and if he can just get through that second round, the third round, this match really could be in his grasp.
Yeah, I mean, you automatically think, okay, round number 1's perfect, got the bonus, unless he gets a crappy, round number 2, and he just gets a category that he's going to crap the bed in. He might have this one on lock. And guess what? When Lon Harris did get up and spin, he got a pretty good category.
Unreal. He gets spinners. They pointed out, Riley pointed out, or is it Riley or Harloff? One of them pointed out that getting spinners after a perfect round, you cannot ask for a better sequence of events.
This is like being dealt pocket aces.
Oh, exactly.
In Texas Hold'em. This is just, you have 2 cards that have just really put you in a very good position to win this whole thing if you play them right.
But you don't always win with pocket aces, and he's got pocket aces. And Erwin, he ends up getting like trip kings, so it's just like, doesn't matter.
It's like, hey, it doesn't matter, brother. But round number 2, he gets that spinner's choice. Ends his turn. He gets an additional 6 points in his turn. Erwin didn't jump in for any steals, so we're at 15-7 at this point.
That steal, that second question, the player question is in what Robert Altman film did Bruce Willis play himself? And it was the player. Both of them kicking themselves after the match. Should have known it. Had Lon knew that. We're looking at a very interesting. He still loses, but it's a very, much more impressive performance, even on top of the impressive performance they've both given. So, even the questions that they've missed, going back even to Ethan missing that Clockwork Orange, he knew that one. We should have had 2 first round, 2 players having a perfect round. Both would have had the bonus, I'm assuming, because that was a fairly easy bonus question, I think. Anyways, so, we could have possibly have seen both players be perfect through their first 2 rounds. It would have been insane, but it's incredible at the rate at which they were performing. So it's
it was definitely incredible, and they definitely kicked themselves after that Bruce Willis question. Now, I was trying to think, I'm like, Bruce Willis played himself. What? The only thing I could think of was when he played himself at the end of Ocean's 12. Yeah, that was the only thing I could think about. And
but you hear Robert Altman, you're like, well, that's not.
Yeah. It's definitely not a Soderbergh, okay?
Yeah.
What is it? So, hey, they know more than me. So, they should have gotten it. That's what I say. But anyway, Erwin, though, it's his turn. Spins spy movies, and then he ends up landing on thrillers after that and ends the round with 14 points. Went to multiple choice 1 time during that during that round. What did you think of Ethan Erwin? This was probably the best way he could have come back and try to get back in the game after a spinner's choice perfect round pocket aces situation.
Yeah. Real quick with Lon on his 4th question, it was what 1965 Western, Major Dundee. That's a tough question. And he ends and he gets it correct for 2 points. That's a huge deal given the fact that he missed that Bruce Willis question, which he should have gotten. So it kind of makes up for that in a way. But he could have had a dynamite round. 6 points is nothing to scoff at. But he gets a tough fourth question there that he nails for 2 points. We get to Ethan Erwin. His fourth pointer was, let me see here, who played Tim Robbins, deceased son in Jacob's Ladder. This pool is insane. And he says Macaulay Culkin played the son, which is correct. His name was Gabe in the film. And what's so amazing about this pool is that Macaulay Culkin is unaccredited in this film. He's not even in the credits. So you have to.
These are my bunny
That's
ears
cute,
from
right?
Macaulay Culkin. I just want to throw that out there.
Okay.
Since we were discussing
Oh,
it.
that's right. Okay.
He personally gave me these bunny ears. But anyway, continue.
The fact that Ethan Erwin was able to pull this answer is, and they were talking about it at the desk, and the audience was good freaking luck. It's incredible to me that Ethan Erwin got this question, and that question alone should strike fear in everybody in the league that he was able to pull that kind of answer. Again, Macaulay Culkin, unaccredited in this film. It came out in 1990. Not a big part. He pulls it, and it's incredible because that's what really, it gets him within 1 point now of Lon Harris, and
It's
round,
those things that
it's crazy.
It's those things that separate champions from players.
Exactly.
And being able to pull those things, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think we saw both in the fourth question from both players how deep their knowledge is. 1965. I know it's Charlton Heston, but not a lot of people watch westerns, or let alone westerns from the 60s.
Not everyone's as old as Roca.
Right. Not everyone. Yeah, exactly. So I think those
Love
two
you,
questions,
Roca.
their final questions in round two, really demonstrated just how deep their knowledge can go, and that's a serious problem for any would-be contenders in this league going forward for the rest of the year. I just look at those right there. That right there, that's
a
incredible.
problem. That's
Yeah.
a real problem. So we go into round number 3, and oh boy, both of these guys get every question correct. Ethan Erwin gets every question correct. They were neck and neck up until Lon Harris's 5-pointer, which he misses, giving the game to Ethan Erwin 24-20. Wow, Frank, round 3. I know you got something to say.
Yeah. So Ethan Erwin again. He really he went and got control and won this match. Lon Harris didn't lose it. I wouldn't look at it that way. He just got a question that, a movie that I think he's seen but just doesn't remember, and he took an educated guess there. But looking at Ethan Erwin's 2-pointer and 3-pointer and 5-pointer, his second question after directing Empire Strikes Back, Irvin Kershner went on to direct which Bond film? You got to go through how many Bond films?
24?
From if from 80, what was it, 83 it came out, I think? 80 and onward, you got to figure out which. That's quite a few films. So for him to able to pull that and not even ask for a repeat, right? He didn't even ask for a repeat to double check himself. He just said, never say never again, right? Was that what it? Yeah. So, and he got, and then his third question, who played cool girl Nicole, who might be falling for her dorky neighbor in 1999's Drive Me Crazy, and he pulls out Melissa Joan Hart.
It was just one of those. It it was almost as if the Schmoedown gods said, Ethan, this is your moment.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
are destined to win this match. And the amount of knowledge he was able to pull out in that 5th round, and even in that 2nd round, and even in the 1st round, was just so incredible. And we know that Ethan Erwin is a big timer, and, he might not be able to get down to the Schmoedown all the time, but God, I would love to see this guy, what he can do in the Ultimate Schmoedown tournament.
let me tell you, and Chris can speak to this, when we were there for Free For All, just watching him round after round after round. And this is, and we really didn't know anything about Ethan Erwin at the time when we saw him at Free For All, because this is
we saw the one match.
Well, at that time, actually, this is maybe a little too behind
it didn't
the scene.
even air, right?
Hadn't even aired yet.
Oh, it hadn't aired yet.
So majority of the people who weren't there for his first match, I don't think knew exactly what he was all about till they actually saw him at the Free For All, and that was my introduction to him at the Free For All, to Ethan Erwin. That was my introduction. I was like, holy shit! I cannot wait to see what he does in his debut match and going forward and all that stuff. Especially after Christian had talked him up too. So to see him do this now, it's just, incredible. Incredible. I mean, look, the Merle comparisons, you can start whispering them. At a very low decibel, you can whisper them. It's only 2 matches and an amazing showing at the Free For All, but you can start to whisper it, I think.
The comparisons can definitely be made. I want to throw it to the guy we haven't heard from yet. Chris, what did you think about round number 3 and Ethan Erwin's performance?
Well, you guys are saying there are a lot of comparisons. I think this is this season's Bibiani versus Andreyko. This was literally like tit for tat the entire time. Ethan, you say he's like Merle. He's more like a mix between McQueenie and Bibiani mostly. I feel like his performance and how and Lon too. As you said, neither of them lost. I don't think Lon lost this. He just got a bad question, as you said. But with Ethan Erwin, he's just a monster. He is a machine. And comparing him to Merle is not an understatement. I feel like moving forward, he lasted 15 rounds. That's almost 4 or 5 more than Merle lasted last year. So
Merle had 12, I think. So
he
it
had
was like
12
more,
or 11, yeah. So Merle, like the comparisons are justified. So I think moving forward, Ethan is just somebody we have to keep concentrating on, because he could potentially not just be a champion, but a champion that doesn't lose the belt, and that's me. I don't think he's a force to be reckoned with. So God bless anybody else who steps in his way. Yeah.
That's for damn sure. I think
Even
Chris
Lon
Clark
too,
just
man.
wrapped
He's
up everything I thought.
Oh.
No, Lon's no slouch either. He's gonna
No, he
be back.
isn't.
This isn't a loss for him, like we've always said. Lon is phenomenal, and he's going to have his place. And I think he's also going to have a great 2018. Next, he's going to get some dubs. Come on now.
Oh.
Lon Harris is the man. Lon Harris is going to get some major W's.
If Ethan Erwin doesn't get Rookie of the Year, I find it hard. I know we're so early in the year, but sometimes it just
we're almost
spits in your
halfway
face.
through.
That's true. And sometimes it just spits in your face, and you got to be like, this guy. It's his to lose at this point. It's his to lose.
It is.
It's his to lose at this point, as far as I'm concerned. And maybe that's too premature, but that's the way I feel, man.
Fact of the matter is, he is in a contender for being the best singles match of the year. I think there's really no competition. You guys were discussing any sort of competition. There really is none. In my opinion, like the closest is Snyder and Roca, but that doesn't even compare to the amount of knowledge that was in this match. Yeah. So right now, what we're looking at is, I would be surprised. He's the Rachel Cushing of this year. I would be surprised if anybody else tops him. Yep.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see the fallout of this match and what other matches this brings on. I'm excited to see Ethan Erwin more in the Schmoedown. Like I said, Ultimate Schmoedown. Can we imagine what he would do in that tournament?
You better put Lon and Ethan on opposite sides. I'll tell you that much.
It reminds. Well, no. Here's the thing. It reminds me.
Actually, I want to.
Here's a wrestling thing. Well, let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a wrestling thing. Survivor Series 1998 was called the Deadly Games, and it was a whole tournament to crown the new WWF champion at the time. And Vince McMahon purposefully gave The Undertaker and Kane buys in the first round so they would have to meet each other in the quarterfinals. I want to see Lon and Ethan be either in the first round or be lined up to where if they both win, they get to be in the second round, because that would be a great rematch to have, and it might not have the same victor as the first.
All right, so as we wrap this match up, I just want to go through the numbers here
Do it, Frankie stats. Wait, hold on. This is breaking news. Frank is about to actually give stats on the Schmoedown.
That's true.
This is like a first. So go ahead, Frank.
Yeah. Well, the other matches really didn't warrant. It wasn't that great. So, no, I'm joking. I'm joking. Funny thing here. First off, this is the first match, I believe, and I will double check this, but I'm fairly confident. I'm like 99% confident. This is the first match in which both players have been asked the same amount of questions and have also answered the same amount of questions correctly. They both were asked 16 questions, both correctly answered 14. So they have the same accuracy rate. Now, Lon Harris got that bonus question, so that's one additional one. And then Ethan Erwin had an opportunity for a steal, so that's a +1 on his side of the thing. So 14 out of 16 for both players. The only difference here is that Ethan Erwin hit his 5-pointer, right? So that's where that comes into play. Now, for other numbers in this match, Ethan Erwin, his last match, he answered the last 11 questions against Yolanda Machado. And he answered the first 5 in this one. So that gives him 16 straight questions asked correctly. That is actually tied for the third longest streak, question accuracy streak. He's tied with Rachel Cushing. That's 16 straight questions he's answered correctly. Ethan Erwin with 24 points in this match. He now has sole possession of the most points in a 3-round match, previously held by Bibiani and Harloff in different matches, obviously. He has the highest scoring... Lon and Ethan, they share the highest scoring match. Combined, they scored 44 points. That is the highest third-round match with 44 points. The previous was held by the Andreyko-Bibiani match with 43 combined points. And then you have, let's see here, this is the 4th most accurate match of all time. So altogether, they answered 87.5% of the questions correct.
Wow.
So that's the 3rd most for a 3rd rounder, but 4th most accurate match of all time. And now Ethan Erwin, his 2-0 start, he has answered 26 of 29 questions in 2 matches. That's near 90% correct. That is the best 2-0 start all time to a career. It was previously held, that spot, number 1 spot, was previously held by Rachel Cushing. She was the former number 1 spot. She answered 86%. Here's a pretty good comparison. Ethan Erwin, 26-29. Rachel Cushing was 25 of 29. So they were asked the same amount, just 1 question difference, answered correctly. Now look at Lon. He is the 18th player in history to lose a match when leading going into the final round. He's also the 3rd person to have a perfect first round and bonus this season. And then he is the 3rd player to go perfect with the bonus in the first round and lose the match. Previous players who've done it, Cody Hall lost this year, going perfect with the bonus.
Yeah,
and Bibiani
against Lon.
Yeah, which is pretty ironic. There was Lon involved in that. And then Bibiani, he lost to Sam Levine in the Ultimate Schmoedown. Yeah. He went perfect with the bonus. Chris, it doesn't stop there because Bibiani also had a perfect round against Harloff. Well, he didn't get the bonus, but he did a perfect first round, 8 of 8. That would make Lon, this loss for Lon going perfect with the bonus would make the 4th time someone's gone perfect in their first round and lost. Doesn't happen a lot. Now, total numbers here. This is a lot of numbers. I'm sorry, but this is some pretty outstanding stuff. Ethan Erwin with the free-for-all, all his numbers, his performance there, and his 2 matches. His lifetime accuracy is 81%. Lon, with his free-for-all performance, he's now at 75% accuracy lifetime. So these guys are definitely, as Chris would say, rocking it.
They are rocking it, and they're rocking that sucker called the Schmoedown. You know what, though? I think that there is no better time to put a button on that discussion than with those incredible stats by the stats man, Frank Janisch. Incredible match. I liked both the matches this week.
Yeah.
The Kingsmen are what they are. The Wildberries are the Wildberries. Lon Harris is still going to be schooling these boys. And, of course, Ethan Erwin is big time, and he is proving it.
And he's going after Drew McWeeny.
Yeah.
He's going after Drew McWeeny. Whew.
Yeah.
Whew, boy.
Everybody breathe. Are we ready? I don't think we're worthy. We're not worthy, like Wayne's World might say.
Yeah.
Hey, let me throw it over to you, Frank. Frank, plugs, anything you want to say before we get the hell out of here this week?
Yeah, just Twitter, Instagram, FreakyJ29. Stats, everything I just said that you probably kind of blocked out. You can read all that stuff on the Stats Twitter account, SD Rundown Stats. So I will put all that stuff on that account. So if you didn't listen, couldn't pay attention, you fell asleep, and you want to know, you can go ahead to SD Rundown Stats and absorb it that way.
Hey, you know, like the notorious B.I.G. once said, if you don't know, now you know. Chris Clark, anything you want to promote, plug before we get the hell out of here?
You can simply follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChrisClark8788. Those numbers mean nothing. You can also find me on YouTube at Take 3 Productions, where we do Schmoedown reactions, and the Schmoedown Reactors Summit, where we talk about the Schmoedown as a group, and it's really fun. Make sure you check that out, and you can also find me on YouTube at No Man's Land Entertainment. Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom, the realest guys in the room. His name is Chris Clark. My name is Brad Gilmore. You can find me on all social media at Brad Gilmore. Big stuff coming down the pipeline at Reality of Wrestling. And also check out Heated Conversations this week. We have a former Schmoedown competitor on Heated Conversations. Freddie Prinz Jr. joins us to talk to Booker and I about a variety of different topics. An awesome interview with Freddie Prinz Jr. So go over to iTunes, subscribe to Heated Conversations, and check that out. But until next week, Brad Gilmore, Frank Janisch, Chris Clark, this is the Schmoedown Rundown. We'll see you next week.